There is a soldier so strong, so great, so powerful, has an unwavering sense of justice, proved to the world that hockey really transcends all. A legend among legends. That man is second to none. Monkey Garp is known for many things, but most importantly, he was known for primarily three: his strength, his family, and his ability. Not keeping no. Throughout the story, we were made sure to know how great he was. However, up until recently, we had only seen glimpses of his greatness. It was not until the end of Enies Lobby that we were made aware of how Garp the Fist stood equal to the King of Pirates, Gold D. Roger. We also find out that he's the father of the infamous Monkey D. Dragon and the grandfather of the up-and-coming rookie and future Pirate King, Monkey D. Luffy. It was finally put into perspective why Luffy had such freakish strength. It wasn't just his devil fruit that made him strong, but also his lineage and upbringing. To be honest, if it wasn't for Garp beating on Luffy, he wouldn't have lasted a second in the Grand Line, and most definitely wouldn't have made it this far into the story. One Piece literally would have ended at chapter freaking like 100 or something. Garp in Enies Lobby also showed us where Luffy gets his carefree mindset and his below average IQ. Garp may have been a military powerhouse, but he was practically as carefree as a child when it came to everyday life. Later in the story, we come to find out that Garp was just as much a loyal and virtuous person. Although he stood up against pirates, which in the story of One Piece could be good or bad, he was able to differentiate between the two, which so far very few, especially the higher ranks in the Marines and the world government, were unable to do. Even though Garp had fought the King of Pirates many times, he was able to overlook that Roger was a pirate when he felt that his morals would be trampled on, to the point where he secretly hid and took care of the son of Gold D. Roger even in the midst of the world government searching everywhere for the child. He upheld his promise to his rival, and you could say to some extent his friend. Garp's morals were honestly the only reason he never transcended to the position of admiral and probably would have become a fleet admiral. But his hatred towards the celestial dragons is what kept him firm in his ideals. He was not ready to ignore the lives of innocent people just to go and protect the same people who oppress and look down on everyone else. He had to stay steadfast in his morals so that he never became the very thing he hated. Unfortunately, Garp within his life would eventually have to protect the very same celestial dragons, but rather than doing it because he strayed away from what he believed, it was for the greater good of the world. Garp is known as both Garp the Fist and the Naval Hero. How exactly did he get these titles? Is he a fraud, or do his titles hold some weight? Firstly, he was not only acknowledged by citizens, he was also accepted by the King of Pirates. In chapter 965, when Roger and his crew had just finished beating on some Navy soldiers, the first thing he said was to bring Garp or Sengoku. Meaning at the time, Garp and Sengoku were the only ones that could even give Roger and Rayleigh and his entire crew a tough time. Not only was he acknowledged by the King of Pirates, but years beforehand, Roger and Garp had to come together and bring down the greatest evil of their time. In chapter 957, we find out that the Roger Pirates and Garp the Fist had to go against the strongest crew to ever be formed, the Rocks Pirates. A crew so stacked, it makes the 2017 Warriors look like trash. They consisted of 3 of the 4 emperors prior to Marineford: Big Mom, Kaido, and Whitebeard. The crew also had Shiki, who was a Yonko caliber character, Axe-Hand Morgans, a legendary pirate, Axe-Hand Morgans, a legendary pirate, and Tekking's favorite character, all under the wings of a pirate known as Rox D. Zebek. Although the crew was dysfunctional, he was able to bring the strongest under him. This was truly a testament to arguably the greatest trial that both Roger and Garp had to face. Garp overcame his hatred towards the celestial dragons and fought for the greater good. So with that being said, without a doubt, Prime Garp truly deserves his titles and was easily one of the most powerful characters to date. He was one of few people who was on the same level as Gold D. Roger. Now that we analyze Garp in his prime, we can now take a look at how he is currently at the ripe old age of 78. Despite the fact that we have evidence of what Garp was capable of when he was in his prime, we've barely seen Prime Garp actually use an attack, let alone a named one. The only canon attack that comes to mind is when he smushed Chinjao's head in. A head that was so strong and pointy.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
It broke glaciers in half. Besides that, we really don't have much else, only word of mouth from other people. Fortunately, Oda has recently blessed us with chapters 1080 and 1081, where for the first time ever, we got to see the scale of a named attack. Prior to this, we only saw small glimpses of his power, like how Garp slapped the shit out of Marco in Marineford. Oh! the right-hand man and the second strongest of the Whitebeard pirates. Compared to what we saw in chapter 1080 when Garp used Galaxy Fist, it wasn't even comparable. Just to put it into perspective, the scale of Galaxy Fist you could easily compare to one of Kaido's Boro Breaths, but literally without the broken Devil Fruit aspect, which makes it even more impressive. With just one advanced Conqueror's Haki Punch, he was able to destroy the entire town of Hachinoso Island. Right after that, Garp really had the audacity to say that he lost his touch after blowing up the entire town. But let's be real, that isn't even the biggest feat, because in chapter 1081, Garp stands toe to toe with his former student and a former admiral who fought on par with the current fleet admiral Akainu for 10 days. Not only does he get frozen by Aokiji, then proceed to free himself like it was nothing, he then blitzes him, grabs him like a rag doll, and throws him into the ground using another Haki attack, which in my opinion was him using Advanced Conqueror's Haki once again. These two chapters really put into question what would have happened if Sengoku didn't stop Garp on that day. The day when Garp had to watch Ace be killed in front of his very eyes by the very same organization he worked for. If he had gotten his hands on Akainu that day, Akainu would have been 6 feet under and Aokiji literally would have been the current fleet admiral. So now let's get a closer look at how strong current Garp is. We need to look at his current stat line using his feats that we just went over. So his Haki, strength, stamina, speed, defense, and battle IQ. Just like Rayleigh, he suffers from the exact same thing, old age. So we have to take that into account. Currently we know Garp has all 3 types of Haki, which already puts him in a small category of characters within the series. But what differentiates him from 99% of other characters is his use of Advanced Conqueror's Haki, which as of now is by far the strongest power in the series. So his Haki is still most likely on par with the best, but it is debatable because of his statement in 1081, but he could be referring to his strength. So now Garp's strength is also another big part of his arsenal. He has shown many times that his strength is unlike anyone else's. He's not only able to throw cannonballs as if they're dodgeballs, but even that is nothing compared to him throwing and pushing his entire ship into the sky as if it's mere child's play. So automatically, he is, in my opinion, in terms of body to object ratio, the strongest character in the series, in terms of raw strength as well, even at the age of 78. Next would be stamina. I don't think he has shown any signs of having less stamina, so I'm gonna assume his stamina is exactly the same, only because he hasn't retired yet and he's still on active duty. Where I think Garp has mostly taken some hits is in his speed and his defense. It might be that because his strength and or his Haki aren't at their peak anymore, so I'm assuming that will hinder his speed and his defense. Primarily his defense, because we know Garp is a very unique character in the series. He was able to become one of the strongest ever without a Devil Fruit and without a weapon. He is truly a one of a kind, so there is a chance Garp might be a glass cannon. But part of me says he isn't, cause he tanked Aokiji's attack for free, and to be honest, for him to make it this far, he clearly had to have extremely powerful defense to withstand both blunt and sharp Haki attacks. Lastly, battle IQ. This is a no-brainer. Garp has been in the Navy for years, so he easily has some of the best battle IQ in the series. It's really not much of a debate. So where exactly does this put Garp in terms of overall strength? Firstly, I just want to apologize to everyone for placing Kid over the Old Man trio, let alone Garp. It was the biggest mistake of my entire life. This also means that I have Garp over Zoro, Sanji, Law, and even Sabo. I believe that Garp is currently equal to characters like Fujitora and Greenbow, and is currently a couple steps over Old Rayleigh, but only because Old Rayleigh retired a while back, so he slowed down considerably due to age and retirement. At this point, I think Garp puts up a good fight with just about any Yonko. Although he won't win, he isn't someone a Yonko can fight without sustaining permanent damage. Anyways, that's all for the video. Let me know how strong you think Garp is and your thoughts in the comment section down below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.